Interest groups use different methods to pursue their goals. One of the most common activities is lobbying, in which an interest group seeks to persuade officials to adopt a policy it supports. There are two primary types of lobbying, and an interest group may pursue both strategies at the same time. The first, direct or inside lobbying, involves interest groups making direct contact with legislators or the staff of a regulatory agency. Direct lobbying is not only carried out to influence legislation. After legislation is passed, regulatory agencies work to formulate rules spelling out how the law is to be implemented. Direct lobbying involves meeting with these regulators to try and shape the rulemaking activity. The next, indirect or grassroots lobbying, involves getting group members to notify their representatives about what they think of legislation that affects them and the group. Many groups have effectively used litigation, bringing lawsuits or assisting private individuals to bring lawsuits so they can challenge laws the group opposes. In the 1940s and 1950s, for example, the NAACP effectively used litigation as a tactic for challenging segregation laws in public schools. Another interest group tactic is advocacy advertising, and it is used extensively to advise the public on issues that affect the group. Through magazines, radio, TV, the internet, and social media, interest groups put out messages to inform and persuade the general public. Interest groups also are often active in political campaigns and elections. Groups make contributions to candidates who they think or know from past voting behavior support the group's preferred policies. In the 2010 case Citizens United versus the Federal Elections Commission, the Supreme Court ruled that labor unions, corporations, and interest groups could not be banned from using funds to support or oppose a political candidate. A ban on this spending, the court held, was unconstitutional because it violated the various groups' First Amendment right to free speech. While many interest groups have benefited from this ruling, there has been strong opposition. Critics believe the ruling gives corporations in particular too much influence over government because their ability to generate money to contribute to political causes far outweighs that of labor unions and other groups. Some interest groups are part of a broader social movement, a type of group action undertaken to assert certain rights. In the 1960s, for instance, because of a lack of representation in Congress, civil rights organizations relied heavily on civil disobedience and nonviolent protests. Large marches, such as the 1963 March on Washington, attracted widespread media coverage. Groups also advocated boycotts and sit-ins to protest what they considered unjust laws. Today, social media has become a major resource for groups to voice protest or initiate more direct action, such as the boycott of a particular company. Because no elected official can know the need of everyone in a town or state, let alone the whole country, and they don't have the time to look into the science, economics, or cultural impact of every law or action that is proposed, legislators at every level rely on input from interest groups. In some cases, politicians, bureaucrats that staff regulatory agencies, and interest groups have worked together to produce public policies. This can lead to the formation of what is known as an iron triangle, or the tight alliance between congressional committees, bureaucracies, and interest groups. This iron triangle, reinforced by the mutual support each group gives to one another, allows interest groups to influence the government regulations that affect them. When this relation becomes too close, the oversight of government regulatory agencies may weaken. The result can be what is referred to as regulatory capture, in which a regulatory agency becomes controlled by, or at least dominated by, the people or industries it is supposed to be regulating, rather than working in the public interest.